Block, Blumenfield, Bonilla, Bradford, Brownlee, Buchanan, Butler, Calderon, Campos, Carter, Cedillo, Chesbro, Conway, Cook, Davis, Dickinson, Donnelly, Ing, Fior, Fletcher, Fong, Fuentes, Furutani, Gaines, Galgiani, Garrick, Gatto, Gordon, Gurrell, Grove, Hagman, Halderman, Hall, Harkey, Hayashi, Hernandez, Hill, Huber, Weso, Huffman, Jeffries, Jones, Knight, Lara, Logue, Lowenthal, Ma, Mansour, Mendoza, Miller, Mitchell, Monning, Morrell, Nistande, Nilsson, Norby, Olson, Pan, Perea, V. Manuel Perez, Portantino, Silva, Skinner, Smythe, Solorio, Swanson, Torres, Valadeo, Wagner, Wykowski, Williams, Imlada, Mr. Speaker.
Colleagues, a quorum is present. We ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand for today's prayer. We ask Assembly Chaplain Father Constantine Papadimos to offer today's prayer.
Good afternoon. Let us pray. Lord, you come to all of us who are tired of the shallowness of life. You come to all of us who are ready to hear about a different way, a way based on love and concern for others, not selfishness and cruelty. Grant us, Lord, opportunities to reinforce our faith in you. Let our heart continually experience a transformation that brings us closer to you every day in everything we do. Amen.
We ask everyone present to remain standing and join us in the flag salute. Please join Assemblymember Miller as he leads us in the pledge. Mr. Miller.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Thursday, January 19, 2012. The Assembly met at 9 a.m. Honorably Phil Moss, Speaker Pro Tem of the Assembly, presiding.
Mr. Calderon moves and Ms. Conway seconds that the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentations of petitions, there are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments will be deemed adopted. Messages from the governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Motions and resolutions. The absences for the day will be deemed read and printed in the journal. Mr. Calderon, you are recognized.
Yes, Mr. Speaker and members, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 to allow Assembly Member Jim Bell to have guests and photographers on the floor.
Without objection.
He will be presenting a resolution, although he will be presenting it to them in the back, but not on the floor.
Without objection.
Also, request unanimous consent for Assembly Rule 45.5 to allow Assembly Members Fuentes, Knight, Jones, and Monning to speak on and adjourn in memory.
Without objection.
Also request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 63 to allow Speaker John Perez to take up AJR 23 without reference to file for the purpose of third reading today.
Without objection.
And I request unanimous consent to allow the desk to remain open to accept additional Senate co-authors on AJR 23.
Without objection. Okay, pursuant to Assembly Rule 77.2, I am re-referring the following bills to committee. File item number 46, AB 1413 Fong, to elections and redistricting. Without objection, the clerk will note. Okay, we have some guest introductions. Mr. Berryhill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, it is with a great privilege today to welcome the Sierra High School of Manteca student leadership class and their teacher, Anthony Chapman, here to Sacramento. In Sierra, they are teaching our future leaders today. So I welcome them. They're sitting right above me up here. Good-looking group.
Okay, colleagues, we have another guest introduction. Please direct your attention to Assemblymember Bell so he can introduce his guests. Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I'm introducing today Sister Mary Catherine Doyle. Sounds like a good Irish name to me. And Sister Helen Maher Garvey, another good Irish name. And they're here to receive a resolution to honor the completion tomorrow of Sisters' 3-year national touring exhibit, Woman in Spirit, Catholic Sisters in America, now at the California Museum here in Sacramento. The exhibit highlights the many achievements and underscores the positive impacts the various orders of sisters have had on the state of California. And this includes the founding of several hospitals, several universities, and many institutions, such as the School of the Deaf, the orphanages, and many social programs. It also includes Presentation High School in my district, which was founded in 1962, and to this day they help direct and guide this high school. The school's motto is not words but deeds, which promotes service and action among the students, something I believe strongly. And I'd like to point out that the second university in California, the second college in California, was the College of Notre Dame, which was in San Jose and is now in Belmont, and was the second college founded in California around 1850. So thank you, members. I'm going to present this resolution off the floor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Allen, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the gallery, we'd like to welcome members and guests of Aldea's Children's Art Therapy Program. Aldea, a nonprofit mental health organization. Welcome. They serve children in Napa and Solano counties and have a long-standing tradition of coming to this legislature every year for the last 13 with the art therapy engagement calendars that have been given to members of the Senate and Assembly to exemplify their expression through art. These calendars, produced entirely by the children of Aldea, showcase the meaningful expressions of children involved in art therapy as a means of dealing with a variety of emotional issues when words alone are not enough to express what the children feel. This year, the calendar was the gold medal winner in the National Calendar Awards for Best Nonprofit Calendar in America. I would like to acknowledge the director of Aldea's Art Therapy Program, Al Friedman, and some of the gifted artists up there who participate in this outstanding program. So thank you so much. We also want to invite you to the reception we're going to have upon adjournment in the Eureka Room in the basement dining area. So once again, heartfelt congratulations from the legislature, and thank you.
Ms. Buchanan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. Please join me today in welcoming Boy Scout Troop 888 from the city of San Ramon. They're up in the gallery, I guess, in numerous places, but they are working on their Citizenship in the Nation Merit Badge, and so far I've had a wonderful trip to the Capitol.
So, colleagues, just one more announcement, and that is that Tuesday, January 24th, is the last day to notice intent to remove a bill from the inactive file for purposes of amendment by the January 26th amendment deadline. Tuesday, January 24th. We are now going to move to the assembly observance of the Lunar New Year. This is AJR 23 without reference to file. Clerk will read.
Assembly Joint Resolution 23 by Assemblymember John A. Perez and others relative to economic development.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AJR 23 is not about the Lunar New Year, but I'm sure we'll get to that next. AJR 23 urges the United States Patent and Trademark Office to place a satellite office in California. This past September, President Obama signed into law the America Invest Act, a historic patent reform legislation that will help American entrepreneurs and businesses bring their inventions to market sooner. One of the reforms included is the establishment of 3 satellite offices of the United States Patent and Trademark Office. In 2010, California businesses and entrepreneurs were approved for 30,080 patents, more than 4 times as many as any other state. California public and private universities are top-ranked in engineering and science and the law. The graduates from these universities go on to support our innovative economy as researchers, administrators, and entrepreneurs, and would comprise the highly educated workforce necessary to administer the USPTO satellite office. The landscape of our great state provides many options for the placement of a USPTO satellite office. Given that most of the foreign patents filed come from countries in Asia, California's proximity to the Pacific Rim is key. California entrepreneurs and companies continue to innovate and expand, and I in particular want to acknowledge the efforts of Assemblywoman Campos for her work to bring a satellite office to California. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Ms. Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this is a great opportunity for all of us in California. Sometimes we struggle on this floor to find areas of agreement. I think this is a perfect example of the times when together we can endorse and support something that is a great opportunity for the entire state of California, the areas we represent, and all of the people in the state of California. So with that, I would urge an aye vote.
Mr. Speaker, do you wish to close?
I just wanted to reinforce a couple of points. Innovation is clearly woven into the geography and the spirit of California. From Northern California, the birthplace of biotechnology, inventors and leaders in high technology and the burgeoning field of green technology, to Central California, producers of much of the nation and the world's food supply, to Southern California, pioneers and leaders of the entertainment industry, biomedical devices, and the aerospace industry, California continues to innovate and expand. The public comment period for the location of the satellite offices ends on January 30th, which is what necessitates the urgency of this resolution. I respectfully ask for your aye vote, and I ask that the first roll be open for co-authors.
Okay, colleagues, Mr. Speaker has asked that the first roll be open for co-authors on AJR 23. Clerk will open the roll. Clerk will close the roll and let the record reflect that this measure has 63 co-authors. Clerk will open the roll on AJR 23. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 63, noes 2. The measure is adopted. Okay, we will now move to the observance of Lunar New Year. Mr. Amiano, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members.
I'm sorry. There's actually a resolution, so clerk will read.
Assembly concurrent Resolution 89 by Assemblymember Amiano and others relative to the Lunar New Year celebration.
Mr. Amiano.
Another fumble. So the only thing that would make me feel better is being honored to introduce this resolution recognizing the Lunar New Year. I rise to introduce ACR 89 and recognizing January 23rd, 2012 as the beginning of the Lunar New Year, the Year of the Dragon. As Asian and Pacific Islander Americans and their communities around the state prepare to ring in the new year, I would like to share with you some of the traditions that are part of the festivities. On your desk, you'll find a red sheet providing an explanation of the 12 different animal signs representing the different years on the lunar calendar. Those born during the year of the dragon tend to be proud, vigorous, direct, and eccentric. The year of the dragon tends to be an especially lucky year. You will also find a tangerine. Tangerines are extremely symbolic in Asian cultures. The round shape of the tangerine signifies family unity, and its golden color represents wealth. During customary visits of friends and family on New Year's Day, tangerines are given as a gesture of goodwill. Children and unmarried adults are also given red envelopes containing money for good luck. The symbolic meaning is to wish for good fortune and wealth in the new year. The money is sometimes used to pay off a debt. Red is the color of celebrations. In many Asian cultures, the color also represents good luck and vitality. Thank you for joining me, the Asian and Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus, and over 5.5 million Asian and Pacific Islander Californians in celebrating the Year of the Dragon. I ask for your aye vote and the roll to be open for co-authors.
Ms. Ma.
Thank you, members, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Ramiano, for bringing ACR 89 to help commemorate Lunar New Year and all its festivities. According to the Chinese zodiac, this year, 4710, is the year of the dragon, the fifth of 12 animal signs. As legend has it, the Jade Emperor asked 12 animals to meet him on the new year, and the dragon was the fifth one to show up. When the Jade Emperor asked why such a swift-flying creature such as the dragon should fail to reach first place, the dragon explained that he had to stop and make rain to help all the people and creatures on Earth. In ancient times, the dragon was a symbol reserved for the Chinese emperor and is considered to be an extremely auspicious sign. The dragon symbolizes a time full of life, pride, strength, and those born in this year are considered to be innovative, pioneering, generous, and loyal. I'm excited as we embark on this new year and wish all of my colleagues a very happy Lunar New Year.
Mr. Fong.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this up, Tom. Really appreciate it. ACR 89, I totally support. And I'd like to wish everyone a happy Lunar New Year in my first language, in Cantonese. Gung hei fa choi, sun yin fai lok, sun tai yin hon, which is happy and prosperous New Year and good health to you all. I'm also very envious of Kurt Hagman's tie. It's an authentic dragon tie. He's got it on, and that's beautiful. And also, Rich Gordon has an authentic tie on, too, as well. And so thank you very much for celebrating this very joyous occasion.
Mr. Amiano has asked, or Mr. Amiano, would you like to close?
Yes, thank you all. I recommend an aye vote. And first, a roll call for co-authors, please.
Okay, Mr. Amiano has asked that the first roll be open for co-authors. Clerk will open the roll. Clerk will close the roll and let the record show that this measure has 68 co-authors. We can take a voice vote on this measure. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The measure is adopted. We're going to move to business on the daily file. Second reading. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1753, 327, 369, 526, 578, 640, 812, 819, 838, 890, 904, 1054, 1124, 1145, 1148, 1270, 1278, 1345, 1432, 232, 318, 367, 495, 510, 658, 737, 843, 1157, 1224, 1289, 1325, 1359, 154 with amendments, 70 with amendments, 137 with amendments, 171 with amendments, 441 with amendments, 467 with amendments, 744 with amendments, 761 with amendments, 969 with amendments, 1000 with amendments, 1191 with amendments, and Assembly Bill 1246 with amendments.
All bills will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. File items 46 through 50 pass and retain. Assembly third reading. Okay, this is Assembly third reading. File items 51 through 54, pass and retain. File item 55, AB 1126. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1126 by Assemblymember Charles Calderon, an act relating to taxation.
Mr. Calderon.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, members. This is truly a technical cleanup bill. Mr. Huffman had a bill last year that allowed local governments to raise their taxes in increments less than 0.25. So that actually taxes are raised now in smaller increments if chosen by the local jurisdiction, but 2 counties were left out. So this now amends the tax code to include those 2 counties. It's supported by CSAC, and it will make the law in those 2 counties consistent with what it is for every other county. Ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 65, noes 0. The measure passes. File item 56, pass and retain. File item 57, AB 317, for purposes of amendment. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 317 with amendments by Assemblymember Charles Calderon.
Mr. Calderon.
Mr. Speaker, members, these are amendments that I agreed to take when I was in the Housing Committee, affecting the use of arbitration as it's used in that bill. I want to thank the committee chair for working with me and helping me get, I think, what is a very good bill out of committee. I ask for an aye vote.
Without objection, we'll take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Out to print and back on file. File item 58, AB 482. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 482 by Assemblymember Williams, an act relating to public contracts and declaring an urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. Williams.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, members. This bill left local government with bipartisan support. I rise to present it. It's AB 482, which allows the Ventura Port District dredging projects to utilize contractors that have been selected through a competitive bidding process for a federal dredging project off the coast of the county of Ventura. Historically, a significant portion of the cost for dredging is the cost to mobilize large equipment. And in this case, in the last case, the mobilization costs reached nearly $1 million for only $200,000 worth of actual dredging. The outer area of the harbor is a federal dredging project carried out by the Army Corps of Engineers on an annual basis that does not include the areas of the inner harbor that the port is responsible for maintaining. This bill would allow them to take advantage of the existing federal contract and avoid paying mobilization costs. And the port believes it is prudent to allow them, under their public contract requirements, to contract with the dredging company carrying out the Army Corps project. The bill has no opposition, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 70, noes 0. The measure passes. Oh, ayes 70, noes 0 on the urgency. Ayes 70, noes 0 on the measure. The measure passes. File item 59, AB 43. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 43 by Assemblymember Monning and others, an act relating to Medi-Cal.
Mr. Monning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, as you know, passage of the federal health care reform represented a momentous occasion and provides California with the opportunity to provide coverage to almost 4.7 million of the 7 million non-elderly adults and children who are currently uninsured. California has already acted to establish a health benefits exchange, which has been meeting since April of last year. This bill is the vehicle for the piece of federal health care reform that will allow us to expand Medi-Cal to include all childless adults who earn up to 133% of the federal poverty level. Federal law requires this to be implemented by 2014. The Medi-Cal waiver that was approved last year serves as a bridge to full implementation. It is estimated that up to 500,000 adults will be covered by the counties under the waiver. However, it is estimated that up to 1.8 million Californians will become eligible under the 2014 expansion. The costs will be covered 100% by federal funds, providing relief to local counties. At this point, we have proposed regulations from the federal government on some of the rules, but we do not have sufficient direction to fully flesh out all the details. This bill is a vehicle that will be positioned to move forward when further guidance is available to provide for a smooth and orderly transition to full implementation for California. Members, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 47, noes 23. Measure passes. File item 60, pass and retain. File item 61, AB 1166. For purposes of amendment, clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1166 with amendments by Assembly Member Soloria.
Mr. Soloria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. The amendments at the desk clarify that AB 1166 is not intended to prohibit schools from honoring or recognizing student achievement. I ask for your aye vote on the amendments. Thank you.
Without objection, we'll take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Out to print and back on file. File item 62, pass and retain. File item 63 has been dispensed with. We're going to now move to Senate third reading. File item 64 and 65, pass and retain. File item 66, SB 880, for purposes of amendment. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 880 with amendments by Assembly Member Butler.
Ms. Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Senate Bill 880 clarifies existing law established by Senate Bill 209, which was signed into law last year. Senator Corbett has worked closely with the governor's office and all stakeholders to address the governor's signing message and improve last year's bill. These amendments clarify the insurance provisions to ensure the owner is receiving the best policy available at the best price and that the association is entitled to notifications on the policy. This bill has no opposition, and the amendments are technical and clarifying, and I ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Without objection, we'll take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Out to print and back on file. We're now going to move to the consent calendar. We are at the second day consent calendar. Does any member wish to remove an item from the second day consent calendar? Seeing and hearing none, clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1405 by the Assembly Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to civil rights.
Clerk will open the roll on the consent calendar. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 71, noes 0. The consent calendar is adopted. Okay, we're now going to move to announcements and adjourn in memories. A couple more announcements. The hours of the desk will be extended tomorrow. I am ordering the desk to remain open for the purpose of accepting additional Senate co-authors on AJR 23 by Mr. Speaker. Session schedule is as follows. Tuesday, January 24th, no floor session, check-in session only. Wednesday, January 25th, no floor session, check-in session only. Thursday, January 26th, floor session at 9 a.m. Friday, January 27th, floor session upon call of the Speaker. All other items remaining will be passed and retained. All motions shall be continued. We're now going to move to requests to adjourn in memory. The following members have received previous permission to adjourn in memory: Mr. Fuentes, Knight, Jones, and Monning. Mr. Fuentes, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to adjourn in the memory of Dennis O'Sullivan, who passed away from cancer on January 17th, 2012. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Dennis, the son of first-generation Americans from Ireland, was born in North Hollywood, where he lived for many years. He served in the military from 1965 to 1967 until being honorably discharged. A selfless volunteer and an avid promoter of community involvement, his contributions to the community are vast. He began his volunteerism in 1990 with People in Progress. Dennis O'Sullivan was a volunteer and a promoter of community involvement. His contributions to the community were large. He began his volunteerism in 1990 with People in Progress, a support organization for the homeless, rose up the ranks, and eventually retired as executive director last February. He also chaired the Providers Collaborative of the San Fernando Valley for 15 years, served as the president of the Sun Valley Area Neighborhood Council and the Sun Valley Area Chamber of Commerce, and was an active member of the San Fernando Valley Homeless Coalition. Dennis's commitment to the community also earned him appointments to numerous positions, including the Neighborhood Council Review Commission, the Bradley Landfill Advisory Committee, and many, many others. Dennis leaves a lasting legacy and will be loved and remembered for his dedication to volunteerism and the betterment of California's homeless. My thoughts and prayers are with Dennis's loved ones, as well as the entire Sun Valley area, who lost a truly invaluable public servant. I ask that we adjourn in his memory today.
Thank you, Mr. Fuentes. Mr. Knight.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I ask for the adjourn in memory today of Miss Lois Ledford. Lois Ledford was the mother of our mayor of my hometown, Jim Ledford, city of Palmdale. And some of you have probably met Jim through his comings and goings up here over the last 20 years as mayor of Palmdale. Mrs. Ledford was always by his side when he was in Palmdale, and she was just kind of the light of his life. And she was stricken by an illness this about 3-4 months ago, and she was in the hospital for a month and in hospice for the last 2 months, and she passed about a week ago. The city of Palmdale would truly miss Mrs. Ledford for her inspiration and always being around and always brightening our lives. She is being memorialized today in Palmdale at the Methodist Church.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. Mr. Jones.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today and ask for adjournment in memory of Anna Dewey. Anna Dewey is a shining example of a life given to community involvement and political activism. She was born in Oklahoma City on April 29, 1923. Following her education at Oklahoma University, she moved on to Washington, D.C. with her husband, Vance. There she worked at the Naval Research Laboratory. In 1946, Anna and her husband moved to San Diego. Anna and Vance stayed in San Diego and raised their 4 children, Thomas, Diana, Kevin, and Karen. Anna has 6 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. Anna and Vance spent the next 40 years together actively working in church and community politics. Her children were walking precincts with her at an early age and grew to share her passion for political activism. Anna's loving husband died in 1986, but Anna never stopped working in her community. The following is a brief summary of Anna's accomplishments. In 1964, Anna fought for prayer in schools during one of the very first challenges by the ACLU, while serving on the La Mesa Spring Valley School Board of Education. Served as president of the Fletcher Hills PTA. Served as president of the La Mesa Republican Women's Club Federated. One of the founders and president of Women Volunteers in Politics. Walked hundreds of precincts and made thousands of phone calls on behalf of candidates. Worked election polls for 40 years, most of them as an inspector, and was honored with a Registrar of Voters Award. Worked with the Clarion Call, a weekly political radio broadcast, typed and printed broadcasts and sent them around the world from 1972 to 1987. Received a congressional award from the Honorable Duncan Hunter for her dedicated service to the United States, and in 2003 was the Assembly District 77th Assembly District Woman of the Year. Thank you for adjourning in the memory of Anna Dewey.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Monning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise today to ask that we adjourn in memory of former Santa Cruz Mayor Bert Muley. Bert Muley's life ended on December 15th at the age of 86. Bert's life spanned many callings, with a unifying element being service to the community. The communities he served included local, national, and international. Burt served as a Santa Cruz County planner, as a university professor at San Jose State University, as a Santa Cruz council member and mayor, and as an international peace activist who built strong relations with people and communities in Nicaragua. Burt and his wife Lois have been Santa Cruz icons for decades. They celebrated their 65th wedding anniversary last year and continued to spearhead the efforts of the Three Americas and promoted the sale of free trade coffee in Santa Cruz from Nicaragua. Burt and his wife Lois, let me just tell a quick story at his memorial service. Burt and Lois were early supporters of Leon Panetta in his first run for Congress. At the memorial celebration a couple of weeks ago, Sylvia Panetta was listed as a speaker at the celebration. Sylvia showed up with her husband, Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta. After Sylvia spoke, she was followed by her husband. He said, originally I didn't think my calendar would allow me to be here, but he said I couldn't miss this tribute to Burt Muley, and I especially wanted to be here because in Burt's wildest dreams, he never would have expected the Secretary of Defense to eulogize him at his memorial service. So it was a wonderful tribute. Burt is survived by his wife Lois, their 5 children, and numerous grandchildren. Members, thank you for adjourning today in the memory of Burt Muley.
Mr. Bell.
Yes, on behalf of the alumni of the Department of Urban and Regional Planning at San Jose State and the staff and the professors there, I'd like to stand in recognition of Burt Muley. He was my professor at San Jose State and my advisor in urban planning, and has continued to be my advisor throughout my life in a lot of ways in terms of my urban planning career. And after I graduated from San Jose State, I became a planner for the city of Santa Cruz, an urban planner on the staff of the city of Santa Cruz, and worked with Burt on many of the plans for the community. Burt Muley was a teacher. He was one of the founders of the Urban Planning School at San Jose State and will be sorely missed by all the alumni and staff at San Jose State University.
Mr. Alejo.
Just wanted to share some words about former mayor of Santa Cruz, Mr. Muley. Not only did he have many friends all across California, but certainly he had a lot of passion and love for causes of the Latin American community. He had deep connections with causes in Central America, including El Salvador, among many other countries, many times hosting members of Congress at his home in Santa Cruz who were from various Latin American countries. That's where I got to know him, and I want to thank him for always reaching out and trying to be that bridge with Latinos across the United States, but across the Western Hemisphere.
Thank you. Members, please bring those names to the desk to be printed in the journal. I am ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Calderon moves. Mr. Hagman seconds. This House stand adjourned until Thursday, January 26th at 9 a.m. Quorum call is lifted.
Norby AJR 23, change it from a no to not voting.
Norby Assembly Joint Resolution 23, no to not voting.